go. If you would, together, let's share our affirmation. Living Water Unity is a thriving spiritual community inspired to embrace and share our abundant good now. I am empowered for joyful living by expressing God in each moment. And who would like to share our daily word for us with us today?
Well, one of us could do it. It's been a while, unless someone different would like to volunteer.
I
can go ahead and do it. I'll go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Today's words are let go and let God. I do what is mine to do and release the rest. Over the years, I have accepted more and more responsibility as I have grown in maturity and experience. I have also grown in wisdom as I am able to discern what is mine to do. I have learned what to take on and what to leave for others. I have also learned not to exhaust myself by taking on too many commitments. Perhaps most important, I know when to use my will and determination to make things happen and when to let go. I recall times in my life when I felt frustrated that events did not unfold the way I had expected. I can now see how they unfolded perfectly, often in ways better than I could have imagined. I now let go easily, trusting in that perfection. And today's scripture is from Acts 17, verse 28. In him we live and move and have our being, as even some of your poets have said, for we too are his offspring.
Thank you, Clarence. And our affirming prayer, we will have our affirming prayer, and then I will invite you to offer your prayers. For each of your prayers, offer them one at a time, please. For each of your prayers, we will hold that prayer in this crucible of unconditional love. Seeing that in completion and realizing that this moment, this very instant, is the only time that we can be in communion with God. So in that awareness, holding that vision of this sacred moment in this awareness of unconditional love, we know that God is a love that has no end and a power that knows no bounds. God's healing power of divine life is restoring, healing, and revitalizing our world in this very moment. We let go of any fears or anxieties, and we affirm that all are safe, healthy, and protected. We bless all those who support us in maintaining vibrant, radiant health, and we express divine life in all we think, say, and do. We bless our global family with radiant health, peace of mind, and abundant love. And seeing the restoration of our society, the restoration of our health, the restoration of our infrastructure, seeing it all coming together. And so it is. And I invite you now to offer your prayers as we encounter this mystery of life. I'll offer a prayer for Dee to begin with. Seeing her physical maladies resolved, healed, and so it is. And I'll offer a prayer for Betty.
I'd like to.
Seeing Betty's conditions resolved, healed, and so it is.
I'd like to offer a prayer for my sister-in-law's sister, Tammy, who has stage 4 cancer and is not doing very well.
And so it is.
I'd like to offer a prayer for our little grandniece, Sophie, who is 4, who was born with a brain bleed and she's got a brilliant mind, but she has a lot of developmental deficits. And they're having trouble finding educational help for her that's appropriate for her. And she's just such a sweet little girl who's having a really difficult time. Sophie.
And so it is. I'd like to offer a prayer for all of those in the affected storm area, deep freeze area. So many challenges, so many disappointments, so many people impacted by this weather. Just embracing that whole area in unconditional love. And so it is.
I'd like to offer a prayer of thanksgiving for the miraculous event that happened yesterday, for all the passengers on the United Airlines flight who saw the engine fall and got back to DIA safely. And also that same situation, thankful for all the people on the ground who, so far, everyone has been found safe. Thank you, God.
And so it is. Are there any other prayers?
There's one I've kind of been sitting on. I need I need discernment and perfect discernment and understanding and path forward. My former employers reached out to me in kind of a desperate effort to get some things accomplished for them. I've been really struggling with my need to be needed and my need to take care of myself and to take my path forward in life. Been struggling with this for a couple days. Need more discernment and some more understanding as to what my thoughts need to be about this through the future. It's kind of a big decision, but at the same time, it's also kind of a small decision. So it's looking for discernment, perspective, and God's will. What is mine to do?
And so it is. Are there any other prayer requests?
This is Trinity. I am asking for prayers of support as I embark on a new venture. I'm becoming a notary signing agent, and I've just about got everything set up to start taking signings, and I'm trying to figure out how to work that in with my current work schedule so that I can try it out and then let my employer know and figure out a way for us to move forward where I can kind of wean myself off the old job and start the new one.
And so it is.
My prayer today is for my grandson Caleb, that he is finding peace and joy and love wherever he is.
And so it is. Are there any other prayer requests?
I'd like to ask for prayers of protection and health for all of those frontline workers who are still out there every day, keeping us safe, providing us with the necessities of life, testing us for COVID, giving us vaccines, taking care of us in hospitals, driving cross country, all of those people.
And so it is.
One more. I'd just like to give thanks and blessing for the blessing of the dropping rates. I just took a look across the country. Almost everywhere the rates are down near the July level. In Colorado, we are too. So maybe we are, coming out of this dark time, and pray that those rates keep going down and the vaccinations keep going up.
And so it is. Are there any other prayer requests?
I would also like to send out a prayer for everyone, all of us going through all these changes, seeking balance, that we can maintain our open awareness and enhance our awareness of our true source and experience unconditional love for ourselves and for each other.
And so it is. Are there any other prayer requests? For those prayers not spoken, for those who have a need for prayer and are not aware of it, for those who are embraced in conflict, embraced in fear, we see God's unconditional love embracing them, holding them in the light, bringing about transformation in their consciousness to see the love and the light and the peace that is all around them. For this opportunity to be ministers of God's Word, we give thanks. And so it is that together we say, Amen. Well, we have, for the last 20 years, had the pleasure of Mr. Doug Roche in our community. And so Doug's going to share with us some music this morning. If you would choose to see Doug's playing full screen, just go to View and select Speaker View. Doug, you are on.
Good morning, everybody. Going to do a couple tunes by Irving Berlin, the early 1920s. One is about dancing cheek to cheek, which we haven't done in a while. And the other is What'll I Do When You Are Far Away?
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
when you play your music, I have this feeling that, and frankly, it just drains me of all initiative to go forward. I just want to be there in that music. Thank you. So you had an event last night, huh?
We did. Did a live from Classic Piano's Recital Hall, little streaming thing done with Jan and Ron and Todd on drums. You guys don't know Todd yet, but he's quite the drummer.
100nightsofjazz.com. That video is there for your view. And so I spaced it last night. I was doing else things. So
we all pretty much spaced it too. Pretty rusty.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Okay. So, is it divine order? We have this event going on in Texas, well, across the South actually, where the polar vortex got misplaced from the North Pole and shifted to the south, flooding much of our country with very, very cold weather. And we could look at that and say, well, there is one governor who blamed that on renewable energy. I'm not quite sure how that logic occurred, but he came out to say that this was the result of the Green New Deal. Well, okay. So actually, when you look at it, it's from what I've heard, the lack of winterizing of the power plants, including the wind turbines, was actually the cause of the power failures. But those winterizing projects are expensive, and so there was a decision by the various directors of those organizations, of those suppliers, to not spend the money on winterizing, because when's that going to, when are we going to need to have winterizing for our infrastructure? Well, so one could say, well, it's the executives that made that decision, and they're the ones to blame. Well, we could step back a little bit further and say, well, actually, there were budgets that were handed down that came as a result of the political processes, and so we could blame the legislature. Well, we could take another step back and say, well, actually, it's the voters who elected the legislators that put in place that budget, that directed the directors of those organizations. So you see, we have a chain of, depending upon our perspective, we have a reasonable cause to blame just about everyone in text. Maybe not the people who didn't vote for the legislators, but nonetheless, we have this milieu of cause and effect. And at the same time, perhaps the greater tragedy occurred on the other side of the North Pole. So the polar vortex are the winds that circle around the North Pole, kept in place by the jet stream that is holding the polar vortex in position. But the jet stream changed, and what happened was that the polar vortex came this way rather than the other way. And in so doing, the warm air came up from the south and covered Siberia. Yesterday, when we were having 2 below zero in South Texas, or 2 degrees, I guess, above zero in South Texas, they were having 55-degree weather in Siberia. Well, great for Siberia, right? Except that the permafrost in Siberia started its melting early this year. Over the course of the last week or so, there's been temperatures north of freezing that's allowing the permafrost to. What's the problem with the permafrost thawing? It releases methane. Methane is 80 times more impactful in terms of creating global warming than is carbon dioxide. So you see, there's a whole set of tragedies that came out of this polar vortex coming south. And one could step back and say, well, guys, God's in charge. This must be divine order. Well, yeah, that's one interpretation or one perspective, but maybe that's not the correct perspective. Divine order has been used even in unity, and for that matter, I have taught this in the past, that divine order is some kind of structure or some kind of plan that things adhere to, that events of the world come in consonance with this divine order. Divine order is a phrase that is often used in unity to say, well, it's God's will, right? We have tragedies occur and we say, well, it's divine order, as if to not dismiss it, but rather to put it in the context of it's God's fault. And I think that is completely off base as well. We have this concept of divine order, and I'd like to address that concept of divine order today. But I'd like to hear from you. What do you think when you hear the word divine order? How is that interpreted by you? Mark, I see you're getting ready to talk.
Yeah, I just got that in it. I've always kind of looked at divine order as it's something that I don't often say, but it's something I heard that I have said, and it's a way to de-emphasize the intensity of the emotions around an event. Because when something happens, our first reaction is emotional. It's, this is a horrible thing, this is a terrible thing, this is a tragic thing. We feel bad for people who are in the midst of it. We feel compassion for them. And for me, it's a way to step back from those feelings a little bit and try to look at a larger vision. This is divine order, this is God's will. Well, what is that? How do I see that? How do I put that in perspective so I can deal with how I'm feeling about it? And so that the intensity of my emotions don't cloud my ability to make a rational decision about things going or where my place is.
So you see it like a safety valve in a steam engine.
Yeah, maybe that would be a good analogy. I like that analogy. Because it lets us kind of vent, and then once we've vented what we feel, we can step back and say, okay, now that that's gone, what is mine to do in this? What is God's will? What really does that look like? And how do I move forward and be part of that moving forward?
Okay. All right. Someone else.
To me, it's an underlying force, and I base my life on something that I thought about for years, and that's a quotation from the Bible that says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." And when you stay centered in that and you put God first, then divine order just happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think divine order is something beyond our physical senses. I see a lot of the discussion groups I'm involved in have discussed the term balance, and I use that in my prayer because it keeps coming up in my head. To me, divine order is not a thing, it's a adjustment. And I think nature seeks balance, but in the physical world, we experience duality and contrast. And divine order, to me, is a power that we can exercise or appreciate, whatever, beyond our physical selves. I don't know, like the daily words, let go and let God.
I think also it's a verbal reminder to us and to whoever is listening that God is in charge. And sometimes it's comforting to say divine order. It's like what will be, will be. Going back to what Doris said is, okay, God's going to do. And there I'm personifying God, but I don't mean to, but it's all going to work out. It's all going to be okay. Divine order. We don't know what God's plan is, but divine order. It'll all work out.
Okay.
Well, I think of the concept of free will as part of divine order, as part of the plan that we do. It's not necessarily God's decision. And sometimes we are not protected from the consequences of our choices. We do, whether directly or with others, the consequences of our choices are suffered. And the divine order aspect may be that it's our opportunity to learn to do better.
Okay.
Dovetailing on those, it seems to me, like the previous three people have said, it's God offering us a correction to decisions we as human beings have made, things we've done that have created problems. A correction is offered, and as Kate just said, an opportunity to learn from that correction and make different choices.
Okay.
On Thursday in the Daily Word, there was a little divine order. And what struck me on that little food for thought was the phrase that she said, "I am grateful for the role of divine order in the perfection of the evolving of my soul." So the idea that order, we don't know what it is, it's evolving. And if we look back at some of those incidents in our lives that we thought were just horrendous and horrible, as we go through our lives, actually, there was some great fruits that came out of those things and set us on a better path. So that's how I look at it.
Okay. Thank you. We have the story in Genesis, starting in chapter 37, about Joseph. How many of you are familiar with the Joseph story? Raise hands, please. Okay. So Joseph was the firstborn son of Rachel.
Oh, yes.
He's the 10th son of Jacob. Come on, David. Get those memory cells working. And Jacob, you may recall, had a challenge in gaining the permission of Rachel's father, in fact, to marry Rachel. And Rachel's father, in fact, forced Jacob to have first the older sister, then the next older sister of Rachel, marry them before he could marry Rachel. Well, Rachel was the object of his love, and so it was natural for him to love the firstborn son of Rachel more than the sons of the first two wives. And so it's as we consider this story, Joseph was sold into slavery by these jealous brothers. He was sold into the household of Potiphar in Egypt, and the wife of Potiphar just took a liking to Joseph and tried to entice him into an affair. He would have nothing of it. She finally got frustrated and decided that if he wasn't going to do her bidding, she was going to accuse him of making advances, and he was put in jail. Well, in jail, he was actually in jail with two officers, the chief baker and the cupbearer of the Pharaoh, who had fallen out of favor with the Pharaoh. But the cupbearer and the baker had dreams. Joseph, being an interpreter of dreams, showed them what those dreams were about. They got out of prison, went back to the court of the Pharaoh. They spoke to the Pharaoh about this dream interpreter that they met in jail. The Pharaoh brought him in because he had some dreams that he was needing interpreting. So Joseph, through these various coincidences, various instances, was sold into slavery and became the number 2 in command in Egypt. This was prior to a foretold famine in which the food in Judah was scarce, and so Joseph's brothers and father Jacob went to Egypt to get food, and it turns out that Joseph was the one that provided that to him. Now, Joseph had, in the early goings, had dreamed that there would be 11 stars and the sun and the moon that would bow down to him. And that was the reason that the brothers were so upset with him. That was one of the reasons. And that was why he was sold into slavery. Now, one could look at that story and say, oh, well, this happened and then that happened because that happened. And so there is a path of cause and effect that went through this whole story, and it was predestined that Joseph would save his family from starvation. That's one interpretation, and that's a common interpretation, that it was divine order that Joseph would be elevated, sold into slavery and elevated into the house of the Pharaoh to be able to save his family. The other interpretation would be that, well, there was a cause and there was an effect, and there was another cause and another effect, and there was another cause and another effect. So which interpretation should we look at? And there are others as well. There's a passage I'd like to share with you from Paul Hasselbeck. Paul Paul and I actually came up through Unity together. He and I were both in the continuing education program at the same time, and we both went to ministerial school. He came to ministerial school a little bit later than I, but in the same time frame. And Paul has shared this story with us. In his book, Get Over It, written with Bill Halton, most people get divine order out of order, they say it. There is no such thing as divine order as we ordinarily use it. The idea has been poorly understood and misused over the years. This phrase is used more as a statement of resignation rather than a statement of power it is meant to be. In his book, The 12 Powers, Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, defined divine order in this way. We can never exercise dominion until we know who and what we are, and knowing brings forth that knowledge into the external by exercising it in divine order, which is mind, idea, and manifestation. It is clear that Charles Fillmore did not see divine order as a divine fiat or divine proclamation. He saw it as a divine process, a point of power. In other Fillmore writings, we learn that everything comes into expression through the process of mind, idea, and expression. It is a universal process. And we look at, for instance, the Unity's 5 pillars of faith. There's one power and one presence, God, the good, omnipotence. That's the premise of Unity's 5 pillars of faith. And the one Son of God, the Christ, abides in each of us. That's a proposition. And the thoughts we hold in mind manifest in our experience. That's a process. And that process is, in fact, what Fillmore thought of as divine order. Cause and effect. The law of attraction. The law of manifestation. All of these, quote, laws are the result of divine order. He said that the universe would not exist without order in the universe. And this idea that we are subject to this set of cause and effect in our lives is really what Fillmore was talking about when he was talking about divine order. So we could say that the storm in Texas and Louisiana and Alabama and Mississippi, that's part of divine order. But it's part of divine order not as predestination, as some kind of overall plan that is coming into effect, but rather it is the result of cause and effect. We are agents in this process that we call life. We're not the victims of it. We're not the passive observers of it. We're not the ones that are placed in the way of these events that we have to encounter and overcome, but rather the things that occur in our lives is the result of cause and effect. The thoughts we dwell upon become our experience. Thoughts held in mind manifest in our experience. So this idea of divine order is one that it's not about a statement of resignation. It's not about a giving up, but rather it is, in the context of Fillmore's writings anyway, it is a point of power. It is indeed what we have in our toolkit to allow our lives to be the greatest and best that they can be, if we pay attention, if we recognize that we have this power, we have the ability to shape our experience. So, divine order is a description of process rather than some kind of laid out plan that God, through God's manipulations, forces us to take a path to whatever outcome is there in that predefined plan. It's not about that. It is about recognizing that we have the power to manifest in our lives those things that we truly desire. And that also has limits. But the point is that to the extent that we are willing to exercise that power, we will have a more fulfilling life. If for no other reason than we have changed our consciousness to address the events that come into our lives. So, as we consider this idea that, we really are masters of our destiny, we really are the holders of the tiller of this ship of our life, that we can steer it in the direction that we choose. That is what Fillmore was trying to express in this idea of divine order. So we may use this phrase as a means of letting off steam, as Mark had pointed out. We may use this phrase as a ease of our tension. We may use this phrase as a statement that it's God's will. But I encourage you to consider that in so doing, we are draining the power that statement is intended for us to have. And that is that we are the masters of our life. That the events come into our lives, we address them as best we can, and we move on. Divine order is not a plan. It's not a resignation to some predestined outcome, but rather it is a declaration that the thoughts we hold in mind are the cause of the outcome, the effect that manifests as a result. So, yeah, let's leave it there. Yeah. Okay. I'd like to share with you a meditation. And this meditation, Doug has been so kind as to offer.
I don't know, Pam. Can you hear me?
Doug has offered a recording of meditation music. I'll go ahead and play that with this. So, as we are recognizing that in this moment there is nothing that we need to attend to. In this moment we are blessed We're blessed all the time. And in this moment, the recognition of our blessing is that we are powerful beings, not subject to the whims of events out there. While they may whimsically come into our lives, how we address those events, how we address those obstacles, those challenges, how we address those conflicted relationships, all of that is up to us. We are the agents of our lives. So as we breathe into this awareness, as we breathe into the awareness of the power of this moment, we are powerful beings. the challenges that come before us are challenges that we will address one way or another. We may see the conflict as something that we can do nothing about. We may see the conflict as the result of a cause that we had a part in. We might see the events, the challenges that come into our lives as an opportunity to learn how to be more effective, how to be more compassionate, how to be more open to other ideas. The challenges that we are presented, that we attribute to divine order, are truly opportunities for us to become a greater version of ourselves. The challenges are an opportunity for us to become a greater version of ourselves. We are captains of our own experience. Our challenges are grist for the mill. They're nutrients for our spiritual growth. They are opportunities for us to respond, perhaps with more compassion, perhaps with new perspective. Our challenges are there for our use, not our abuse, but for our use to become more than what we are today. We truly are spiritual beings. Our challenges often challenge us in the manifest realm rather than the spiritual, but they can in fact challenge us there as well. Divine order is that declaration of our power, a declaration of the truth of who we are. So allow the phrase divine order to be more of a call to action, a call to greater awareness, a call to greater compassion, greater involvement. Breathing in and breathing out, acknowledging the power that we have as spiritual beings. Acknowledging the power that we have as children of the Most High, as agents of God here in this world. And in that awareness, in that recognition, feeling the depth and breadth of that realm of gratitude, we are powerful beings. We are part of this divine process, this divine order, responding to the challenges, responding to the celebrations. To uplift, to assist, to bring forth a greater realization among all of us, the truth of who we are. And so it is. I'd like to share with you a song by oh yeah. I know it's there. I know it's there. There it is. Okay. I'd like to share with you a song by Sue Riley. Sue, as you know, is a troubadour in our New Thought movement, in the Unity movement. Dandelion Dreams.
Stop me. People pulling me all directions, good intentions, manifesting with my blessing, my new direction certain through with guessing. This is the way it's gonna be. Life is a flower blooming for me. My dandelion dreams, my dandelion dreams. Waves are crashing, winds are blowing, may not know where I'm going, but this is the way it's gonna be. Life is a flower blooming for me. My dandelion dreams, my dandelion dreams, my dandelion dreams, my dandelion dreams. Sweet as sunshine, flowing down like rain. Possibilities, you know my name. After the blossom, I'm tossing the seeds into the wind. After the blossom, I'm tossing the seeds into the wind. I'm setting them free. My dandelion dreams, my dandelion dreams, my dandelion dreams, my dandelion
So, let me come back here and share our offering blessing. As you know, we still have in the neighborhood of $3,800 per month in cost for operating our ministry. And your offerings bless us, bless all of us. In fact, bless us now and bless us in the future. So, as we hold our blessings in our hands, hold our blessings in our minds, together, please, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love because I trust in God. And Doug, if you would, please. And our prayer of protection, together please. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all